Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Sign to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, Jim here with Creative Plan Podcast Network, and
Kelly!
it is hashtag RPGaDay2019. It has been a heck of a long month. So many events happening in Tucson, doing all these things. We got stuff coming up in a couple days at CocoCon.
Yeah, this will be it's the second year of CocoCon, and our first.
Yeah.
We won tickets from Dickens.
Yay! It'd be fun to see everybody.
Plus, I'm doing panels with Madame Askew, and you're
there's gaming. There's a
photography.
full gaming schedule up there too now.
Yes.
Which CocoCon, that's CoCon, CocoCon. So it is August the 26th. Do you know what the word of the day is?
I have no clue, actually. I haven't looked at the chart.
I was really hoping you'd say idea, because idea is the word.
I have no idea.
There you go.
I take it idea.
Idea is the word. You might have the right idea there.
Yeah. Well, I've already mentioned in previous ones, I came up with ideas that even I didn't expect me to come up with. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because let's see here. Let me try and think of one. I think I've mentioned it before, but when your character is faced with a specific task or something, and then you come up with this really great idea that's so much fun. Like, for example, I was playing a scion of Loki, and I created this character not to be, very hitty. It's, more of a
Support character.
Well, yeah, and I've never really played a real
Trickster.
Yeah, because I myself am not very, I can't lie really to save my life, or, it's, playing that type of person is, I'm the gullible one. I'm the,
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's not me. It's not, I don't think in those terms. So I thought, I'm going to play a character that's not like me and try and play that type of character. And I'm like, at first I'm thinking, what the hell was I thinking? What type of bad idea was that? How are you going to play a character when you don't think that way? But it took a little while, but I have to stop and think, well, how would somebody do this, And since I was the scion of Loki, well, how would Loki do this? So I had been given this task by the witches.
Witches.
Exactly. And they put this, what was the name?
The curse
on me. So I had to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't, I could never regain legend back, or, so it's like, I would be fucked. This character would become useless. So, okay, fine. I have to come up with an idea of how to do this. I don't actually want to complete the task for them, because
you knew it had a bad consequence.
It would be a horrible consequence for the world.
Well, we can go ahead and say it. You guys knew that they had the moon calf.
Yeah, they had the moon calf.
Which required the heart of a great beast.
Yeah, And so they sent me to get the heart. And I'm like, well, fuck. What the hell am I supposed to do?
But in pure Viking trickster tradition.
Exactly, I get this idea. Oh my god. Well, what would Loki do? Like, Loki would get the heart. And I had the idea of, well, they didn't say what condition the heart had to be in.
And you specifically asked for clarification on that.
Exactly.
Out of character.
Yeah. And so I got the rest of the team to help me
get the fear boar.
Get the fear boar, this massive boar that had been terrorizing this subway system because it was living down there. And, I mean, massive. It was gigantic. So, and then I had the idea, well, okay, don't have to, they never said it had to be in a good condition or anything like that. Just had to be there. So what I did was then I took this gigantic heart after we cut it out of the creature, and I think, and we also harvested the skin and had it made into an armor because of course it was like a Nemean boar. So in the Greek mythology, nothing can pierce the Nemean boar, but we used its own tusks to cut it from the body.
Much like Hercules used
the
lion's
claws. It's funny, we also went up against an Nemean shark once.
Yeah.
So then I took it, and I'm like, okay, we have to put a tarp down, I said, and basically proceeded to dice and mince this heart but making sure that I didn't leave any piece out, that it was whole, all the pieces were there, but it was pate. So then we put it into a cooler and we brought it to them. And I did have to say that I was a little impressed that I actually came up with that idea.
Trixie was a little smug even.
Yeah, well, she was really pissed at them. But to be fair, she really did egg them on. She sassed them quite a bit.
And Trixie was really surprised with the idea that they actually appreciated her humor. In true Viking fashion, you were given a challenge, you came through with it, but you found the workaround.
I found the loophole, so to speak.
So that way you completed their mission for them, but they gained nothing from it.
Exactly.
Which in classic mythology, that's totally a thing.
But the community gained because now they were no longer being terrorized by the Nemean boar.
And our heroes were big damn heroes.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that they were forced by the bad guys
to
do it.
Their Fenrir Wolf did benefit because it got to eat the heart.
An ice chest full of pig's meat.
Exactly. Organ meat. So it got to enjoy a nice, tasty dinner.
He didn't eat the next car he saw you driving.
Yeah, that's true, because, he peed and ate the tires. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I just envisioned him as Snively's dog sidekick. From the Hanna-Barbera days. The dog.
Well, I did insult it, so. That character did that a lot. And it almost killed her.
And let's be honest, in Viking tradition, insults are worse than killing someone.
Oh, yeah, like the security guards.
Oh, yeah, the werewolf guy. He was going to come back and jack your day
Oh, my God, he almost killed me. He did.
Yeah, I was terrified because I'm writing down when you're insulting him.
Thank goodness for serpent's gaze.
And wireless interface.
Yeah, exactly.
And pixies to pick up and dial the phone.
Exactly.
Once they figured out how to do it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I loved when you told me to have, you're basically role played for the pixies to pick up and call room service. And I'm like, these are ancient pixies trapped in a ring box. They don't know how to dial a phone. And you had to walk them through explaining how to use a rotary phone for someone who's never used one before.
I know, as soon as I opened the door, and he was like, if it hadn't been for Serpent's gaze, I would have been dead.
Because you had the idea of keeping him locked in place.
Exactly.
While you screamed for your help to help you.
Exactly. Oh my God, that was... but then I just totally took advantage of the hotel because they were the hotel security, and hotel security just tried to almost kill a guest. Yeah, I think that was, okay, truth be told, she totally egged this on,
But in classic mythology. Just because someone eggs you into doing something doesn't give you the right to do it. It
breaks the thing of hospitality, too, which is also very, very,
very
big
cross-cultural.
With the Vikings as well. It's like, you know, you don't do that to a guest. You don't, you know, type of thing. Even if the guest is being a dick. And I was.
Yeah, but that was your character. You're staying true to your story.
I was.
So that's, you know, who knows where these wacky ideas come from.
A lot of them come from reading, you know, and the classics.
That brings me to my idea for idea, which for both players and game masters is the idea machine. Do not be afraid of getting on things like Wikipedia, Google, throw out words, throw out things, and just start reading ideas. You know, you can have great adventure ideas from like a certain writer who wrote a book series that became all the rave and an HBO show based on the 100 Years' War. And even George R. R. Martin admits, like that panel we went to, he's like, yeah.
You went to.
Yeah. That basically it's the 100 Years' War plus a few other conflicts around that same time mixed in and salt and peppered and dragons.
Oh, yeah, and add a little more horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Oh, and more horrible.
What, in history all these horrible things weren't done?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But I know. But you could get tons of ideas just by mining what's out there in Wiki. That, you know, you don't even have to buy things. Hell, go to your library. Definitely go to your library. If you go to the mythology section, you can just read through different cultures. Like we were talking at the Rincon fundraiser last night about fairy tales from like the Yaqui. Here are the native Arizona, you know, tribes. Read those and try to reinterpret those as for player groups.
Yeah, like in our Dresden game, I wanted to pull more of that type of thing into it. It's a little hard when the players are fighting you, though.
Hey, the book, the setting of the Seventh Sun, that's actually booked because I went on Amazon and searched the Mayan sun traditions, and that came up. So I'm like, okay, I will borrow that title as the title that the Quetzalcoatl is writing a book about, hey, it's a cautionary tale, and it's also a book to give to the Winter Queen of this is what the prophecies say are going to happen.
Yeah.
It just happened to be that a bunch of vampires ate that Quetzalcoatl and stole his book before he could deliver it to the Winter Night. So ideas don't be, and as players, you know, I would love, because we kind of mentioned female paladin before, what if somebody went and did Joan of Arc in a D&D game as a paladin? She didn't start out as an uber knight in training. No, she started out as practically an urchin.
She was a peasant.
Yeah. And then she gets paladin, and then she goes on her way. Which kind of brings us back to bad nobility.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of borrowing ideas from history, you know, Wikipedia to hear other stories. There's a book that I love that I read years ago. I think I still have it at the house called Steal Like an Artist.
I think you do.
And it does cover like 10 topics in this little book that, now of course, when it says steal like an artist, it means take, beg, borrow, and steal from everything, but don't rip off. There's a big difference between plagiarism and stealing ideas, concepts, and the ideal of it.
Okay, yeah, for an example, and some of them are good and some of them are horrible. Okay, you have Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa. An amazing black and white film, like 4 hours, you know. It's just an amazing
Each character's
story.
got an amazing backstory.
But there are so many movies that are basically reinterpretations of that storyline. You have good ones like The Magnificent Seven. And I have never seen the remake. So, but I'm talking about the original one with Yul Brynner, and which was really good. Then you have like the absolute horrible atrocity that is Battle Beyond the Stars. But then there's other ones. Pretzels. But even it's like Bug's Life. Yeah. Bug's Life is
it's Seven
animated version
bugs.
of the Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
So, and it's cute. It's but it's still the same story. So, those are, they're taking the idea, but they're changing it.
Yeah.
And some people are going to say, well, it's just stealing. It's not really. It's the old saying, there are no new stories.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just different interpretations. And I, for one, also agree that not everything has to be remade, for crying out loud. But then sometimes the remakes can be very good, or a reinterpretation of it as well. Like, for example, the Seven Samurai, there's a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily get to appreciate the original. For one, maybe they have a learning disability and subtitles is hard for them, or it takes them longer to read or something. Does that mean that they can never enjoy that story? Because I don't know if I've never seen a dubbed version of that movie.
What, Seven?
Yeah.
I don't think there is any. There's just the subtitles.
Exactly. But then, hey, you know what? Watch Magnificent Seven. It's a good rendition of it. Heck, and then I remember as a kid, I saw West Side Story.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that one.
And when I was a kid, I actually cried. And when I was a kid, there's only like one other movie I ever cried at. That was the original classic black and white King Kong. Because, damn, that just was horrible what happened to him. But then when I got a little older, because I saw it when I was really young, and then when I got a little older and I found out that it's just Romeo and Juliet, I actually got kind of angry at first because I was a kid.
You were feeling plagiarism.
I'm like, you mean it was stolen? But now, it's like it wasn't stolen, it's just used as,
re-envisioned.
Exactly. And there's a difference. They're taking an idea and they're adjusting it or making it accessible in a different way.
Mm-hmm. And that could just be easily changing the language. Because, I'll give you one. A wise old man rescues a young boy. And then years later reconnects with this young boy who's now a young man. And gives him a magical sword. And teaches him the difference between right and wrong. Now, am I talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker?
Or maybe Merlin and Arthur,
King Arthur?
Or...
there's even greats have some basis that's stolen from a true template that, it's like the hero's journey, the book.
Yeah.
That talks about the hero's journey of any story. It's so many iconic archetypes are in our DNA practically, whether you're from one side of the world or the other. Those archetypes are there. They've been repeated through history. They've been done again, and they pop up so commonly that why not use that? I don't believe in using tropes for tropes' sake, but using tropes for recognition. Because if I give you guys the idea of an escort quest, in this day and age,
the worst quest type ever.
Take time. But the idea of in this day and age, stereotypes and tropes are there for a reason, because there's something we can easily pattern match in our brain and connect to.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of using those. Okay, you and me are going on a quest to go save the princess. Is this a princess in a castle with a dragon, or a princess under lock and key from her dad she doesn't know in a Death Star? It's type ideas that you can
and then you find out she's the warlord.
Yeah.
That supposedly kidnapped herself.
There's these ideas that you can tap into. That it could be that, hey, maybe what if Princess Leia wasn't a good diplomat, but she was an evil, conniving politician? That she purposely let herself get kidnapped and all of her men slaughtered to prove the point that the military must go, and then you realize it's a political coup against the military. You can change things around.
Exactly.
And even look at old military operations that happen. I had the joking idea of, since Acquisitions Incorporated is so huge and fun and dandy now, why not go back and look at the concept of free armies back in the 11th, 12th century? And the things
mercenaries,
You mean free adventure companies. Free adventure companies. That's pretty much the concept of mercenary bands that hire adventurers and then provide... Because now in 5th edition, factions are a thing. Why wouldn't you have, instead of the Black Network is the mafia syndicate that you have a faction to, why not have a free mercenary company
Adventurers Guild, so to speak.
You know, like back in 3.5, the Pathfinder Society, which is basically an adventurers gentleman's club, you know, type of thing. Why not have more of those where the adventuring company finds
it's like
the jobs for
Samurai.
you?
They're being hired to protect the village.
We do not want the one who gave him the scar. We don't want the one with the scar. We want the man who gave him the scar. Because, you know, it's that common idea of that, you know, you look back at stories and movies and things and you will get ideas.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I pretty much always have some type of notebook with me. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just a little one, I keep one in my purse for the most part. And there's something about, I mean, I know a lot of people take like stuff on their phones and stuff, and I will use the notepad on my phone when I need to. Of course, we've already established that my phone is practically, you know, doesn't really work that well. But there's something about having a notebook. I mean,
the tactile sensation.
Exactly. I mean, and now I even keep a journal for
all of
my games. You know, the
different color ink even.
Well, it's color coded, and you know,
that's a great idea
for games and stuff. This way, I can look at a glance. Oh, red text. That's, you know. But it keeps a calendar as opposed to a book for each game. Mm-hmm. I don't like that as much. I like being able to, you know...
Which, by the way, game diaries are a great idea because years from now, Kelly can look back at this and remember, oh yeah, for those games that we're all podcasting.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to have both the podcast and the notes. But this way I can go back and, okay, well, you know, and it just gives me, also I have a tendency to like to doodle.
Yeah, you have adorable doodles.
No, I mean, I don't have that many. But this way I can keep track of everything, and I keep, like if I get an idea, I write it in my book. Mm-hmm.
And as a GM, you should always
have my friend calls it the Notebook of Doom. You know, and it could have it on anything. Yeah. Okay, so I've got an idea for something for the TSS, the Tucson Steampunk Society, or a specific costume, or this is an idea for the murder mystery that we put on for RingCon. Mm-hmm. I just need to do this. I have to do something at home, or I want to, you know, I have a list of home improvement projects. That list's for you, baby.
As a GM,
having a to-do list as well.
Having a journal to write down ideas as they pop in your head, because remember, they pop in and out of your head instantly. So if you don't get them scribed down, you will forget.
Yeah.
And it is true that writing it down is one of the best ways of mind and body syncing together with memorizing the idea. Yeah. Because you'll be like, it's in my journal, and you'll know, just like paperback books compared to PDF books. Paperback books, you remember where the page is.
Almost like, and you can see sort of where the thickness is and stuff. And like when I was in college, you know, if you write the notes down and then I would type them up, it reinforces it and stuff. But it was really great because when I was taking cellular and molecular biology,
you had awesome notes.
Well, I had all the notes because she did these really great overhead projectors and stuff, so I typed them down. And then for tests, it was awesome. She says you can have 1 page of notes.
It's amazing what you can fit in 1 page.
You could have 1 page of notes, and but no pictures. If you have a picture, it has to be hand drawn. And I'm like, awesome. So I would literally take my notes, squish down the font, you know, and then I would draw in, like, you know, the picture, the cell, and you know, yeah, exactly, or the chemical portion I didn't do well on. I hate
actual chemistry.
Yeah, I did okay, but man, I rocked those tests. Why? Because I had really good notes.
And you know, GMs really love players that have good notes because in the game, while you're throwing something out, and if you as a GM forgot your own note, and your player, you kind of like pause and let the
you
player
do. Oh, no, I got that.
And then your player will go through the notes and pull it out rather than you
What
ad
was the
hocing
name of
name.
that character? Oh, it was Skax.
What was the name of that city we have to travel to?
Yeah, it's in the notes.
So having notes is a great idea.
And having more than one player, players each taking their notes, because sometimes they'll write down something different than the other players and stuff. Mm-hmm. So
one of the coolest characters I had dozens of years ago was a cleric who actually was like the old scholarly clerics, that would sit there in church scribing books. And I literally wrote like a 2-paragraph summary of the adventure from his point of view. I still am sorely sad that I lost that. That wasn't the great move. That could have been a great thing to reproduce and print up. Because it was this very common cleric who basically was all about intellectual aspects, but he could club an orc with the best of them. And he would just write down his opinions on the other characters. Of course, a lot of times I'd also ask the characters, the players, add a couple questions about their character that chums on the adventuring road would ask each other, so my character could fill in background about them of, oh, my friend is this, the secret of that. So that way it helped remind me when I read through there what the ideals were that in our partnership were as a group. So I think we've beaten the idea out of the idea. So that is August the 26th. Idea. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Down in the depths of the mountain, we dwarves spend our time forging powerful weapons, mining precious gems and metals, and feasting like kings. But after a day of digging for the next Arkenstone, this dwarf likes to come home to a package full of loot. Dungeon Crate is a monthly subscription box service forged specifically for RPG and tabletop gamers. Miniatures, dice, tokens, coins, maps, modules, terrain pieces, handcrafted items, RPG jewelry, and more are yours for only a few gold per month. You even get a digital crate along with a physical one as an added bonus. So are you brave enough to reward yourself with a Dungeon Crate? By Morden's beard, I hope so. DungeonCrate.com. Let the adventure begin.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.